You're walking through the garden and your foot is already midair before you've even seen what's on the ground. Welcome to Logic Schema. You stand there, gasping for air, while your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped animal. Your hands are shaking, your palms are slick with a cold sweat, and your vision has narrowed into a sharp, tunnel-like focus. You feel the air leave your lungs in a sharp, involuntary gasp. For a split second, your world isn't a peaceful garden. It's a prehistoric kill zone. The sensory input is overwhelming. The smell of cut grass, the distant sound of a lawnmower, and the sudden jarring silence of your own internal alarm system hitting its peak. Your body has entered a maximum alert state before you've even had a chance to blink. This is the physiological fallout of a code red triggered by your ancient hardware. Logically, you know that a green plastic tube cannot hurt you. You know that you are in a safe, fenced-in backyard in a modern suburb. But your body doesn't care about your logic. It has just executed a high-speed survival protocol that bypassed your conscious mind entirely. You didn't decide to jump. You were moved by a system that has been refined over millions of years to prioritize your survival over your dignity. This is the detection schema, a biological hair trigger that assumes every shadow is a predator until proven otherwise. In the world of our ancestors, being wrong about a hose was a minor embarrassment, but being wrong about a snake was a total systems failure. To understand why you are currently trembling over a piece of gardening equipment, we have to look at the wiring of the human brain. When your eyes catch a glimpse of a long, coiled shape in the grass, that visual data travels to the thalamus, the brain's central relay station. From here, the signal splits into two distinct pathways, the high road and the low road. The high road sends the information to the visual cortex, the sophisticated processing center at the back of your brain. This is where your mind renders a high-definition, 3D image of the object. It analyzes the texture of the plastic, the brass fitting at the end, and the way the light reflects off the surface. This part of your brain is a scientist, and it eventually concludes that you are looking at a garden hose. But the high road is slow. It takes time to process that level of detail, and in a life-or-death encounter, time is the only resource you cannot afford to waste. While the high road is still gathering data, the low road has already finished the job. Think of the thalamus as a high-speed dispatcher. It receives the visual signal from your eyes, and, without checking with your conscious mind, it makes a split-second executive decision. It doesn't wait for the visual cortex to provide a high-resolution rendering of the scene. Instead, it sends that grainy, distorted thumbnail to the amygdala, the brain's ancient panic button. The amygdala doesn't need high-definition footage. It only needs to see a squiggle that matches the prehistoric blueprint for a threat. It immediately triggers a massive dump of adrenaline and cortisol, bypasses your conscious thoughts, and forces your muscles to contract in an explosive jump. This is the logic of the low road, a deliberate sacrifice of accuracy for the sake of an immediate motor response. Your brain has operated on the principle that it is better to jump at 1,000 hoses than to stand still for one cobra. You are the descendant of the people who didn't wait for the high road to finish its report. This isn't just a general fear of the unknown. It is a specialized arms race that has been running for tens of millions of years. Scientists call this the snake detection theory, and it suggests that the reason primates developed such high-quality vision was specifically to spot camouflaged snakes in the trees. Long before our ancestors even developed complex language or established their first permanent camps, they were being hunted by neurotoxic predators that specialized in ending our lineage with a single touch. This constant pressure forged a hard-coded recognition engine in our brains. We are born with a pre-installed folder of images that trigger an immediate code red, and the most prominent image in that folder is the serpentine squiggle. This explains why infants who have never even seen a snake will react with intense focus and an increased heart rate when shown a picture of one. It is a biological legacy passed down to the ancestors of our species. Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of learning that snakes were dangerous from experience. Those who didn't live long enough to pass on their genes. The only ones who survived were those whose detection schema was already primed to recognize the specific patterns of scales and coils. This same logic applies to spiders, a second specialized category of threat. Your brain treats a spider on your arm like a live grenade. It doesn't want you to study the anatomy of the insect. It wants you to execute an immediate search and destroy protocol before any venom can enter your bloodstream. For an ancestor living in the deep past, a single bite could be a fatal error. This hypersensitivity is why we often feel a ghost crawl on our skin. It's our brain running a background diagnostic to ensure nothing small and lethal is currently scaling our limbs. If the detection schema is a universal survival tool, why are some of us so much jumpier than others? Why can one person walk through a forest calmly, while another jumps at every snapping twig? This isn't a personality flaw. It is a vital functional diversity within the ancient tribes. In a prehistoric group, you didn't want everyone to have the same level of sensitivity. You needed a mix of hardware. You needed scouts, individuals with hypersensitive detection systems who were biologically incapable of ignoring a subtle change in the environment. These scouts were the early warning systems for the entire group. They were the ones who stayed awake in the darkness and spotted the predator in the brush before it could strike the camp. If everyone in the tribe was low sensitivity, the group would be caught off guard and destroyed. But if everyone was hypersensitive, the tribe would never have the peace of mind to focus on raising the next generation or securing a steady food supply. We carry the genes of both. If you are a person who jumps at every shadow, you are carrying the hardware of the ancient sentinels. Your brain is running an aggressive perimeter audit, treating every rustle in the grass as a potential system failure. You aren't anxious in the modern sense. You are simply a high-performance detection engine that has been relocated from the wild to the suburbs. Your brain is still looking for the predator, even if the only thing in your yard is a neighbor's cat. This sensitivity is part of the logic that allowed our ancestors to dominate the landscape. The most profound glitch in our detection schema occurs when this ancient hardware is triggered by the modern world's new version of a predator: social judgment. In the deep past, being the center of attention was a lethal detection trigger. If 20 pairs of eyes were locked onto you, it usually meant you were being targeted by a pack or judged by a tribe that had the power to cast you out. To the ancient brain, being rejected by the group was functionally the same as being left for dead. Without the tribe, an individual could not endure the elements or find enough to eat. This is why public speaking is the most common fear in the world. When you walk onto a stage or stand up to give a presentation, your brain doesn't see a professional opportunity. It runs the gaze detection protocol and sees dozens of predators locked onto a single target: you. As you stand in front of that crowd, your brain is performing a massive resource audit. It is shunting blood away from your digestive system, causing that fluttering butterfly sensation, and dumping it into your leg muscles for a quick exit. It tenses your vocal cords to prevent a scream from escaping, causing your voice to crack and tremble. To your brain, a presentation is a high-stakes survival event. It treats the risk of social failure with the same biological intensity as a literal attack. Your brain would rather you be physically ill than risk you saying something that leads to the catastrophe of being cast out from the protection of the group. The low road has identified a threat to your standing, and it is slamming the emergency brake on your nervous system. The detection schema is a reminder that we are all walking through a world of glass and silicon with the minds of ancient survivors. We are the descendants of the most paranoid, the most reactive, and the most careful humans to ever walk the earth. Our brains are not built for a quiet, peaceful life. They are built for a world where every squiggle is a snake and every stare is a strike. When you jump at that garden hose, you are witnessing the raw power of the systems that allowed our lineage to endure, while other branches of the human family tree faded away. It is a tribute to the logic of our biology that your body is honest enough to scare you into staying alive. This hypervigilance is the reason we were able to build our world in the first place. The individuals who survived long enough to become the elders of their tribes were the ones whose detection systems never truly slept. They were the ones who could identify a threat before it ever reached their camp. This caution was a shared resource that allowed our species to endure. The sentinel in your head is an inheritance millions of years in the making, a gift from the billions of individuals who jumped so that you could stand. Your brain is constantly running the numbers, and it has decided that the cost of your embarrassment is a small price to pay for the guarantee of your heartbeat. You are the survivor of an incredibly long game of don't get bitten, and your racing heart is the proof that you are still winning. Subscribe to Logic Schema as we decode the human blueprint, one glitch at a time. Your brain isn't afraid of the shadow in the corner. It's afraid that one day it will be right, and you won't be fast enough to thank it for scaring you.